Nice. Welcome here, everybody. Oh, still here, click. Okay. Welcome here, guys. Welcome to another live lesson, Guitareo live lesson. Today we're talking about double stops.
Double stops.
And I'm very excited because as you can see, we're sitting on some new seats. It's very comfortable.
It's a lot more homey in here. Like
Yes.
we're in the living room with you guys. That's awesome.
It honestly feels that way for us. So it's pretty great. Right off the bat, I will let you guys know there is a PDF to download. So make sure you download that PDF. We're going to be talking about 3 double stop licks each.
Right.
We didn't talk to each other beforehand, so I don't know how well they're going to fit together.
I'm hoping that it'll get like 2 different perspectives on double stops because Andrew and I have different backgrounds, and some of those are going to overlap, but some of them aren't. So.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're hoping at least. So we'll see kind of what transpires throughout this lesson, but also make sure if you do have any questions as we go, you can ask those in chat. I can try and keep up with them, but it's best if you can click on the questions tab, type it in, send it off. I know a couple times in the past it hasn't worked that well, so if that's the case, if you can't get it to work, just enter them in the chat and we'll try and grab those. Do you want to jump? I don't know. I'm just not letting you talk.
You're first.
Okay, you want me to jump right into my first thing? Okay.
Yeah, what is a double stop first?
Okay, yeah. That's
like when you play red light, green light when you're a kid.
I know, that's, honestly, the question, like the term itself doesn't make a ton of sense. But essentially it's a dyad, right, is what it is. So we talk about triads all the time, and that's just a 3-note grouping, a 3-note chord. But a double stop is simply a dyad. So a 2-note chord, I guess you could call it, right?
Yeah.
Is there?
I think of like Jimi Hendrix country and like old R&B and Motown stuff when I think of double stops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Jimmy was kind of the king of a lot of that stuff when you think about guitar playing. But you'll also see it appropriated into just about every genre of music. I learned about double stops kind of more accidentally. I kind of just stumbled onto it and just started using them in little licks I came up with. And it was like, oh, it sounds cool to like keep an extra note in when I play this lick. Do you know what I mean? Yep. So the licks that I give you are a little bit less structured. Nate's got some actual licks, like grab these, throw these in your playing. I'm guessing, at least from what I can see, they look a little bit more put together. So that you can actually like throw them right into your playing. Mine are a little bit more like, here's this concept or idea, and then you can morph it to fit what you want to play. Okay, cool. Anyways. No more prefacing. I'll jump into mine first. So the very first one, we're in the key of D major because that's my favorite key to play in, which is a little bit weird for guitar players. But
that's cool.
My singer writes in everything in D major for some reason, or B minor, so I just play in it all the time. Anyways, I'll keep smacking my knees. So if you look at the tab, we just got quarter notes and then a whole note at the end. So B string, 10th fret, G string, 9th fret. We play those 2 together. Now, you can pick both of them together. You'll notice probably that I don't do that very often. Oftentimes I'll and pluck at the same time. So I'm picking the G string and plucking the B string, but you can just play them both at the same time, and that goes for all my licks. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna go, oh, wait, am I incorrect here? No, I'm not. Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't typically read tabs, and sometimes I get a little bit off with what I write. So, okay, so that's 10 and 9. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take our ring finger, and we're going to go up to 11 on the G string. And then we're going to take it back off. Pretty easy, right? That's all we're doing. And you can practice that to get the accuracy down, because you want to make sure when you're bringing that 3rd finger down that you're not accidentally muting the B string, because I think that's kind of easy to do. Just like that. And then we're going to play the 12th fret on the D string, and then the 9th fret on the D string. So it goes. And I was holding on to that one because I sometimes like to let it ring on the B string, because you never have to move that finger, right? So if you want, but you don't have to, it's up to you. But that lick right there, the way I have it written out is very simple. If I count it out, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, it's very static that way, but it's something that you can kind of, or.
That's like, very similar to my number 2.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, but in a very different context, so it's good.
Okay, good. Yeah. And the thing I like about particularly those notes together is they kind of fit over every chord in the progression for some reason. So if Nate plays, basically play something in D major or B minor.
Okay.
Hopefully this works. So you can hear that's nice, right? Fits perfectly. So obviously, Nate, you played, what did you play, like a D major and a B minor?
D major and B minor, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the two kind of most at odds chords, right? One minor chord, one major chord. And the only thing I had to change was just the note I would like resolve the lick on. Maybe I'd resolve on a different one. I'm playing a D and then I'm playing a B in that lick anyway. But you can hear, I can just throw it in over top and I can kind of play it at any rhythm or any way that I want, and it's usually gonna come out good. And the idea with this is more for those of you guys who may wanna like improvise a little bit. Because this isn't something where it's like, play this lick like this and it will sound good. If you play it like this, it's like, oh, it's fine. But if you add a little flavor to it, then it starts to sound good. Okay, did I move through that too quickly?
No, I don't
that
think
was
so.
good.
I want to point out one thing because it's going to be important when I get to my second lick here.
Okay.
That lick is, it's based off of this major pentatonic scale shape, right?
Yes.
Or you can think about it as being based off of this minor pentatonic scale shape.
You can think about it both ways, yeah.
Just keep that in mind for later and think about how Andrew did that. Okay? Think about just keep that in the back of your mind for a bit. And it'll be good.
And I'll just mention, feel free to experiment with hammer-ons and pull-offs. With almost with all double stop stuff, you hear a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, and that's very common. So we'll be using those later. But anyways, Nate, your turn.
Okay, this one is, it's either the first or second like lead lick I ever learned, and my first electric guitar teacher besides my dad, Scott Deal, showed me this and I was like, what the heck, that's awesome. And it's this right here, I'll play it for you.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Right? Let me get a little bit of gain off there so it's not buzzing at you. And this requires you to bend two strings with one finger. And we're gonna be using this over like an E minor chord, and we're gonna be using an E minor pentatonic scale, this one. 12th fret, root note. That's the basic thing, only we have a note that's not in the scale, right?
Non-diatonic note.
Non-diatonic note, right here with your third finger on the 14th fret. Lay it across, kind of like you're making a bar on your, like an A-shaped bar chord, but just on the G and B strings. And what you're gonna do is play that and pull up on it. And what helps is to get your first and second fingers back here to help pull. So it's just pull up, let down. That's the first part of it. And you're gonna see this notated as a half step bend on the B string and a whole step bend on the G string. It just works out really well that way. Then go to the 12th fret with your G and B strings with your first finger. You're gonna bar it again. And then you end up on a root note or E note right here on the 14th fret of the D string with your third finger. So one more time. I got some vibrato on there for you too. But I like vividly remember learning that, and I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Because when I saw Scott do it, I was like, oh.
That's such an
Revelation.
iconic sound, hey? And one thing, you bend down when you do that.
You
It's
can
so
do
funny.
up.
I bend up when I do that.
I don't even know if I can do it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just interesting. I never bend those that way. It's weird to see someone else do it.
Yeah, it is weird.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter which one you do, whichever one works best for you.
Right.
So,
It seems like yours might be cleaner because since you're going down afterwards, you're not stumbling over yourself.
if that's tough, you can use your third and fourth fingers to do both bends too.
Yeah.
That's my first one.
Okay.
And
Nice. Very
a
nice.
very near and dear one to my heart. So.
That's a very iconic one, yeah. Okay, so the next one. Now this is something that I don't think I've heard other people do. I'm sure they do it a lot, but it's not really an iconic riff. It's more of like a movement that you can use when you're playing. And all you're doing is you're playing these little two-note chords. So we're gonna be back in the key of D major again, because all mine are in the key of D major. And if you imagine a D major pentatonic or a B minor pentatonic, so you know like your A minor pentatonic, so. Well, if we go B minor, we just move it up 2 half steps. And that's your D major scale. So we're right in the key of D, even when we play in the key of B minor. So in this B minor shape, you have a B minor chord if you just play. So all we're doing is playing, we're leaving out the 5th, we're just playing root and 3rd. And what we're gonna do is that's right over top, so if you're looking, it's right over top of that pentatonic kind of home bass shape. And I know I like to use like that basic minor pentatonic shape as like my home bass. I'm always safe if I end up here kind of thing. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna keep the same shape. We're gonna slide it up 2 frets, like that. And then we're gonna do the same thing and slide it up one more fret. The problem is this note doesn't work, so we have to raise that 2. So we're going, this still has to go up 2 and this goes up 1, so we get the smaller shape. You can do that if you want, whatever's most comfortable for you. Like that, all the way up to the D major there. And then you can go like that with just the 2. And all you're doing is the same shape as that D up there, where they're only 1 apart on that one. So these ones are 2 frets apart. Doesn't sound that interesting on its own. Okay, Nate, can you play something in the key of B minor or D or something?
Sure.
So you can hear it's just a nice simple little movement, but what I like to think of it like is it's a great way to move pentatonic shapes, like actually shape positions. So it's a really nice little movement. You're actually playing chords because you're playing like a root and a 3rd, so it has like a minor or major quality. But they fit.
That reminds me of, sorry. Or whatever, that Fleetwood Mac, I think it is.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Don't test me on these old songs, man. I can't do it. Again, it's one that maybe sounds a little bit more boring, but you incorporate some of those movements into your improvising. The one thing that it's great for is it's like a little chordal movement that gets you into another shape. And because even though they're chords, I don't have to match them. Like when Nate's playing a D major, so if you just play a D major, I can totally make those work by kind of surrounding them with stuff that works, right? You like build a context around them. That's kind of the idea. So I'll play that one actually on pace with clicking it out, because again, I've just laid it out as quarter notes and a whole note. Now, one thing that you might notice is this is in 3/4, which I just thought would be fun just to throw it in there. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's all it is. Nice and simple. We can go even slower. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, simple little lick, and the idea is incorporating it. Right? So you could hear, you put context around it, and you can make it turn into something cool. That's the idea. Okay.
Okay, now I want you to play your first lick again. Okay, look where you started and look where I'm about to start this lick. Play those 2 notes. Okay, it's very similar. Only difference is you're
just playing it 2 frets down.
Right, it looks like I'm playing the same, kind of starting with the same shape, only 2 frets down, but this lick is based off of a C chord.
Okay.
So you can play, you think about a minor pentatonic scale, 5th string root note.
Yeah.
1st string you're starting, or you can think about a major pentatonic scale that's based on the C shape. So, a very Jimi Hendrix.
Ooh, I like that one.
And see, because Andrew's messed around with double stops and stuff like this, he experimented. He is like, his ear knows what's going on, and he can go right to it. And that sounds like Jimmy, man. That's awesome.
That is 110% Jimmy.
Yeah. So, just to break this down for you real quick, I have it kind of written out very cut and dried, just for an example's sake. So, it's 1 and 2. So, first finger, what is that? 7th fret of the G string, the second finger, 8th fret of the B string. So, play those two. You can either strum both of them, or I use my pick and my middle finger there to plug it, and then let both ring out, but hammer on there to the 9th fret. And then you can either let the, pull off, or you can actually pluck the notes again. Like that. And then my index finger comes over here and makes a bar on the G and D strings on the 7th fret. And it kind of sets up for the next, almost kind of same thing stylistically. You're going to pluck both of those notes that your index finger is holding down. And then your third finger is going to hammer on and pull off to the 9th further. But it's faster this time. It's the 16th. And then that's pretty much it for like the double stop part. And then to finish things off, I'm just going to the root note right here. This G on the 10th fret of the A string. Then down to the 6, which is the E note on the first finger, 7th fret of that same A string. And then back up to the root.
One thing that's cool about that lick is because you're essentially, if I'm hoping I'm right here, you're basically making like a G major chord in like a C shape, right? But you're also kind of doing it in a minor chord.
You can do the same thing. I mean, you could, let's see. Let's see, where is this G? There it is, an octave lower.
Okay.
That's the G-shaped version of it.
Because what's cool about a lick like that is you're also kind of playing, like when you're going, I'm going to mess it up now. Over a G chord, but you can also, oh man, the muscle memory's not there. You're also playing.
Yeah, you could totally use that over an E minor chord using this.
It's like, so I think some people get so caught up with like, oh, I can only use this lick over this chord, but there's ways to shift little tiny things to make it all of a sudden like, yeah, if you land on that G, it's probably going to sound awkward over an E.
What I would probably do is something like, instead of going back up to the
exactly.
G. Right?
Or you could.
So play it in that position, and I'm going to play it in this position up here.
Okay, ready? Oh no, we're not going to be able to count each other in.
Just go ahead and play it by yourself.
4.
4. Same exact thing, just a little bit different flavors, a little bit darker.
It is, because you're using
there.
lower strings.
And
right?
that was just, sorry. Classic pentatonic chip.
Yeah. You're just placing it in that standard spot instead of the fifth string root.
And I was thinking this G major.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
That's it for that.
This is the kind of stuff that I like to nerd out on.
Yeah, well, obviously we both do. So.
Yeah. So sorry if we kind of go down rabbit trails, what is it called? Rabbit trails? Rabbit trails? That's what it's called. Okay, next one, throw another curveball at you, where we're gonna use triplet feel, which basically they're just swung. That's all it is. We're just doing it swung. So now I have to make sure I actually remember exactly how I played it so I don't play it wrong for you guys. So. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the cool thing about this one is that you're basically just playing a B minor pentatonic. So it's very easy to just throw in if you're playing, and you could do this in A minor pentatonic, any kind of minor pentatonic, because I always use that as like my home bass, even though most of my playing is like very majory, I still use that minor pentatonic shape as my home bass. But what you do with this one, I didn't put in the hammer-ons because it was really awkward with the way that the tab stuff was working for me. So you can do it without the hammer-ons, you can do it with the hammer-ons. It doesn't matter. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start that B minor pentatonic position. Right there. And we're gonna go 9th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string. But the trick is that you have to be barring the 7th on both those strings behind it. You can't play them, because when you go to this one, you have to bar those to make it feel fluid. So we're gonna go. So you see on the 9th fret when I take it off, I need to make sure I'm barring it to get the 7 and the 7 like that. And then all we're gonna do is play the same thing, but move it down a fret, so. And we're gonna do the same thing again. And then we go. Very, very simple. It's not really that complicated. The main thing is getting the bar down. It's the same movement every time, so it's. That's all the lick is. So it's like. That's all it's gonna be. But the trick is that every one of those 9s is a hammer-on from the 7th. So you go like that, right? And the idea is that you can throw this into any kind of lick pattern. So if you just play like a B minor chord underneath me. So I can play other licks. And then if I want to throw that in on the B minor, that's the idea. So all it is it's adding, like, you're basically just barring the whole 7th fret and using this finger to move around and play different things and hammer them on. So with this one, it's the same movement with the 9 to the 7-7, 9-7 to the 7-7, 9-7 to the 7-7, and then we just have to compensate on that E string. We have to hit that D. If we went, sounds a little bit weird, so. And I like playing that whenever we're gonna like land on that 7, like right before we land on the 7. I think it sounds cool to like play that into it. Anyways, that's my last one.
Cool.
Your turn.
My other one is completely different from all the other ones. It's very linear this way on the fretboard. And it's kind of, you have to know, we don't have to, you can memorize the lick for what it is and just, memorize it and be able to play it. But if you know all of your pentatonic string pairs up and down the fretboard, this lick is a lot easier to play than it probably looks. Let me see if I can play it without botching it.
Easy.
Okay. So if you know your 5 pentatonic positions, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, whatever way you want to think about it, it depends if you're playing. Play a G major chord. Now play an E minor chord. What did you move to?
C major.
C. Now D.
That's actually cool. That actually sounds cool. I like that.
So it's really good exercise for working on your string pairs on your pentatonic scales. And if you're familiar with that, like just doing a pentatonic, 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 all the way down. And all I'm doing is taking the top 2 notes in each shape. I start here on the 15th fret. B string with my index finger, and I use a bar with my index finger for almost the entire lick, which is really fun because the fingering is really easy. So play that note, slide up a whole step. It's hard to do slow. And then hit the high E string on that same 15th fret there. So then come back to the B string, slide down to the 15th fret, and then hit the high E string, back to the B string, slide down to the 12th fret.
I like that micro bend.
Then kind of swivel over. You don't have to. I let both strings ring out the whole time, I believe, when I do this. So, yeah. And then go back to the B string, slide down to the 10th fret, high E string, And here's where the only spot where it changes is you have to, I don't even know how I make this change. I make a swap right here in my middle finger on the 8th fret of the B, and then I play that, then the 7th fret of the high E with my index finger, back to that note with my middle finger. Let's see. And I guess I swapped to my middle finger throughout the rest of the lick, right? So I don't have to change too much. So slide down to the 5th fret with your middle finger, and grab the 5th fret of the high E, yeah. Then back to the B string, and slide down one more time to the 3rd fret of the B. Swap over to the high E, and we can end there because it's a root note, it's a G, right?
Yeah.
So.
That's a cool one, and it actually sounds harder than it is, I think. Because
It
I was just deciphering it there because I haven't seen this lick before. It's actually...
It's very like
It's not that
old school
hard.
R&B kind of in Motown. You hear a lot of that kind of stuff.
It's
in it.
got like that... like that John Mayer kind of
Mayer,
thing. He
yeah.
does a lot of those. Dude, I'm gonna steal that.
He's one player that if you want like to get into double stops in a more modern way, that he is probably the guy to listen to.
I think
Soloing
you
in
actually
parts.
cover a lot of the double stop stuff in the Dear John.
I think yeah, there's quite a bit of
Play along,
stuff
right? Yeah.
in that one. Yeah, like typical John Mayer stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if you have any questions, you have a few seconds to get them in because there's none in there right now.
I'm just gonna tune. I have an idea for a jam for the end, or at least a chord progression. But you're gonna have to play all the lead licks because I'm formulating the progression in my head right now. But it's all diatonic in G.
Oh, thank
no,
goodness.
sorry, E.
Okay,
E major.
I can figure it out.
Yeah.
One thing that Nate and I were talking about, Nate recently found a program called Band in a Box, and we were hoping to start doing this thing where you guys can kind of pick a chord progression for us to play at the end, and basically it just like spits one out, a jam track for us, and we just have to try and play over it. A while back, Nate and I did some like find a key songs, and it was pretty hilarious. So we're hoping to start doing that. Maybe next week we might try it. If you're cool with that, Nate.
That's fine. But that's the jam track that we played at the beginning. It's such a good practice. So all you do is type in a chord progression that you want to work on, pick a style, and it spits out like full band version jam tracks, and it like has a chord chart for you to follow along with, so you get to visually see what chords do I need to be playing over. It's a huge. And my goal is to make that like a good portion of my practice time, just using that.
Yeah. That's the way that I try and spend a lot of my practice time is like listening to the radio and playing along to songs on the radio.
Yeah,
right? It's a similar idea.
I bought that so I don't have to write as many jam tracks for live, but I also bought it because I want to force myself to do more practicing like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, it looks like there's no questions in here, so we might as well just wrap her up.
Okay. Let's see.
Wish us luck.
It's kind of a two-part progression. It's one longer progression, like with two phrases in it.
Okay.
But it's all diatonic in E. And I'll play it a couple times while you're tuning. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.